Alright, shh. Thank you guys. Let's do it. Alright, so let's go to this page, 2B, displaying data. So this is going to be a bit of a recap actually of what you had already done at the start of this year in semester, I think it was term 2, when you did a bit of data. Okay, so displaying data and describing, we're just going to focus on categorical data. So just data that's either nominal or it's ordinal. Okay, so just descriptive stuff. We're not going to work on numerical just yet. So just on nominal and ordinal. All right, so frequency. A frequency table is a list of values and a variable that takes the data set. Okay, I'm not going to read all of it, but basically a frequency table just records the number of something. Okay, and the frequency can be recorded as either a frequency. So you're going on your table, you're going to have a frequency, but you can also have a percentage. Frequency refers to the number of times that thing occurs. Okay, so if you were to make a frequency table, you can record the number of times something has occurred. So for example, I might do a frequency table and measure the number of people wearing white socks and black socks. Okay, and then we could do that and measure it. I'd say there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 people, five people wearing white socks, and then everyone else wearing black socks. Okay, so lovely. Percentage wise, okay, you can represent that. Okay, as a percentage. So let's say, for example, 4 or 5 out of the 11 people here, 5 out of 11. So it's going to be the total count divided by the total number and then multiplied by 100. Some basic math that we need to remember of how to find the percentage of something. So if you forget how to do percentage, please look back at this little formula here. But again, this should be common knowledge. It's something that you should all already know. All right, so let's take this for example here. 30 children chose a sandwich, salad, or pie or lunch as follows. All right, so we've got a survey. We've done a survey of what people like to eat. It's these little kids. They eat sandwiches, salads, or pies. Okay. There's 3 options. Okay, so here's an example of what that frequency table will look like. Here's the data, right? So they've got it. It's categorical. Okay, there's no numbers related to it just yet, but you've got a categorical. The people have just picked what is their favorite food there. All right, here, when you're constructing a frequency table, you have to include all of this. Okay, so you've got the options or the variables here, and then you've got frequency. I would say this is frequency and this is percentage. Okay, right here. I'll probably split this up a little bit differently, but you can use your table to make it look like this. Alternatively, the other way that I would prefer is if you just did this. So whatever your variable is, okay, your frequency. Let me fix that up. Okay, and then at the end, you want to include your percentage. So this is what your table should look like. At the very bottom as well, you should have the totals. Okay, you got to have your totals there. So this is what every frequency table that you do, whether it's in a SAC or in a test, make sure it looks like this. Okay, you've got to include all of these. What's the variables? What's the frequency for each variable? What's the percentage for each variable? And then include the totals at the bottom. Okay, if you can include these in any frequency table, then you will get full marks in your SAC. Okay, for that. Now in this case, what's happened is let's look at the data that we're working here with the kids. I can see that 7 people liked sandwich. So if you look at this, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so they've put 7 as a frequency for that. All right, and then you've got 10 people that like salad, so there should be 10 salads in here. You've got 13 people that like pie, so there'll be 13 pies in here. And there are the numbers there. So in terms of the total, add them all up. That's what you put in the bottom here. So altogether, there should be 30. And a percentage as a total, it should obviously be 100. Okay, or 99.9, but that's fine. 100% is okay too. Percentage-wise, how do they calculate the percentage of this? So what is, basically, how did they get the percentage for sandwich? Basically, it's going to be 7 divided by 30 times by 100. And then we got that from here. Okay, so thank you, Fahad. That's good. For salad, it's going to be 10 divided by 30 times 100, and that gives you that 33. For pie, 13 divided by 100, divided by 30 times 100. So I'll put that here for you guys. Okay, so it's going to be divided by 30 times 100 equals that. Divided by 30 times 100, that's how you get the percentage. Okay? Divided by 30 times 100, that's how you got that. So it's always divided by the total and then times it by 100. All right, let's move on. Now, a frequency table like this, okay, can be transferred or represented visually into a bar chart. So I want you to understand the difference between a bar chart and a histogram. Now, you'll remember this back in year 10 as well, or when you were earlier this year. Bar charts have gaps in them. Histograms tend to not have gaps. Okay, so when you see the word bar chart, the reason why there's a gap in between is because it's categorical. Okay, it's literally you're like nominating it, or you're putting it in a certain spot and there's a certain order. If it was a histogram, you're working with a range. So normally with histograms, you're working with numerical data. So think bar charts, categorical. Histograms are numerical. Okay, in this case, bar charts. So we're just working with categorical data. Bar charts can either have, okay, and this is a tricky part. You can either have the percentage on them, or you can have the frequency, or the percentage on the vertical axis, either or. So what that's saying, okay, so I'm just going to do a really quick drawing here. On your bar chart, okay, let's say you have a bar chart like this. You've got a bunch of bars. So it could be like, I don't know, circle, square, and triangle. Okay, what's the most popular? You can either have the frequency in terms of the numbers. So it could be 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is telling me 2 people like circle. Let's make this a bit longer. So it's 4 people like square, and maybe we'll make this just one person like triangle. So you can actually have the frequency. Or alternatively, you can also have the percentage. So it could be like 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%. Okay, so sometimes you'll find bar charts that have the frequency or the percentage like this. You've got to be aware that it's percentage or frequency. Okay, but you can actually you can use either or. It's up to you. But just keep that in mind that you can have either the frequency or the percentage in the bar chart. The variable that you're working with is displayed in the horizontal, so that's this stuff here. These are your variables. And obviously on your frequency table, these are your variables. So that's what goes in your x-axis. And then you've got the height, okay, will either give you the frequency or the percentage. So the height of the bars corresponds obviously to what the frequency or the percentage is going to be. Okay, keep that in mind. And the bars are separate, so because it's categorical. There's 1 bar for each category, okay, which makes sense. So if I get this, okay, they've represented it here, as a bar chart. I'll just put it closer here for you guys. All right, so you can see here, you've either got the percentage or the frequency of this data here. So, for example, if we look at the frequency for this, you can see here you've got the frequencies 0, 5, 10, 15. On the y-axis, you've got the variables, and you've got the bars that correspond to how much. So for pi, you can see pi had 13, so pi is up to 13 here. Salad, you can see, okay, so salad over here had, 10. Right there you can see for the frequency, 10. That means it goes up to 10 here. And then for sandwich, you've got 7. So the bar will go up to 7 for sandwich. That's for frequency. Now you relate it back to percentage. Okay, slightly different, but similar principle. Okay, for pi, okay, we got 43%. So that means the pi for the bar, it should go up to 43, which is there. For salad, 33%. So it's this bar here. It should go up to 33%. And for sandwich, it should go up to 23%, which is there. Okay, so just keep in mind, sometimes you can use a percentage, and other times you can use frequency. Just make sure you state which one you'll be using. All right, let's move on to the next part. Why is it doing that? Okay. All right, modal category. So modal category, it's funny because a lot of kids still ask, what does modal mean? Modal is the same as the word mode. Okay, so when you talk about mode, it's the most frequent, the one that appears the most, and the one that's got the highest bar. Okay, so when you think of when it's asking you for what's the modal, just think of it as what is the most frequent one there, which one has the highest frequency. Why is it useful? Well, there's a description there, but we can skip that. That's fine. And that's it for 2B.